Yo, what up? I have no idea how to start any form of commentary, but here's Cassette Man. We won the contest. That's crazy. And now I'm going to talk about the level that won the contest, which is crazy. Unbelievable situation. The only real note is that this is not actually the final build of the level I'm about to play through. It's the almost final build of the level. There's a couple minor quality of life changes that are not in this build that I conveniently have on my computer. So if you see this video and then see this level in MaGMML3 down the line and be like, wait a minute, actually, this is not the same. It's because of that. But they're all very minor, so I could just use this build to talk about the level anyway. Like Hauntman before, me and Corby both made the level together. He did most of the coding, enemy making, in boss, and I put the level together myself. Without further ado, let's get started. I'm gonna hopefully not be terrible, but as you may or may not know, Cassette Man himself is a design based off of Splendid Lands, one of her many Robot Master designs that we just used with permission, naturally. And the entire level is unique. While Hauntman used a lot of assets found in the engine, we wanted everything to be completely original. I mean, obviously a conveyor belt is still a conveyor belt, but it doesn't look like one, so it's different. But all the enemies are made for the level and such. But much like Hauntman, also my favorite thing in the world to do is introduce gimmicks, and it's what I think of the most. For example, we got moving platforms, very simple. We have this beautiful enemy up here. I always forget which one's Frank and which one's Peter, because at one point we got them mixed up, because these are the best enemy names of all time. I think this one's Peter, but he's just a generic Mega Man enemy you'd see in anything. If you want those screws, you could dodge his one bullet, or you could just see how he works, because you have to before you kill him. The only real change in this build is that this button you see right here is actually on the bottom, because there was a soft lock if you were a fool and didn't want to use Rush. Anyway, here he is. You love to see him. Everyone loves him. Here's the boy himself, Subwoofer. He's a beautiful creature. His bark is from Final Fantasy VI. But you can see everything he's about. You can't get hit in any conceivable way. But you understand, oh, his projectile hits and it bounces off the wall. Meanwhile, there's a lot going on here, but only half the screen matters. You're forced to hit this pause button. Boom. Everything is different. Conveyors are stopped on the bottom. If you see that, the platforms stop. If for some reason you mess this jump up, not only are you forced to be like, wow, this conveyor's not moving, but you realize, oh, now it's on again. Great learning tools in my little fun rooms. This is the other one. I'm gonna call this one Frank, assuming he's the right one. It's just another generic Mega Man enemy. If we weren't adding any default things, we just wanted to create enemies that could be considered generic. Now, in my commentary, I do want to mention these platforms here, because in the original draft of the level, these are obviously very similar to Crash Man platforms on rails. Originally, I wanted them to be more like Impact Man for Mega Man 11, where they would follow a rail, but they would not loop around, and they would just keep infinitely spawning. I was running into some trouble with that, and I'm sure it was trouble I could reasonably fix, but there was a deadline, and I didn't really want to deal with it, so we just changed the whole thing to Crash Man platforms instead. I'm great at video games. Hallelujah. But naturally, our other gimmick is introduced shortly. We have this little roundy boy. He reverses the buttons. My car ride is ruined. And also, unfortunately, the music is only slowed down on reverse rather than reversed, because it's simply not possible. Hallelujah. I could go into a tangent right about now about like a lot of the same things I went into on Hauntman commentary years ago, but it's pretty much the same design philosophy. I don't like making stages longer than they need to be. I like playing Mega Man games, so I don't go too crazy when making a level. I just say it's a level I'd want to play, and apparently it's a level other people would want to play too. Here's Need for Speed up there. He makes the world faster. Definitely the hardest to utilize heart of this level. He could be destroyed, but I could probably have gotten more creative with that dude, but it is what it is. And everyone loves Subwoofer in this day and age, and getting hit by him. But really, every Subwoofer has safe spots. I don't remember where any of them are, because I haven't played this level in a very long time. But most of them you could generally find if you want to take it slow. If you're a slow gamer, you could stand in a safe spot and realize, oh, I could shoot him here. Because some people are into that. The great thing about playtesting levels, I'll mention this now, is getting people who don't know how to play Mega Man to playtest a level. Because if they die a reasonable amount of times that you expect someone who has not played Mega Man before to die, then generally the difficulty is in a decent enough spot. At this point, all the pieces are introduced, so I just got obsessed with making contraptions for the rest of the level, like that guy dumping a subwoofer in your path. I'm pretty sure if you are a big speedy, you can actually skip right by him. So, see that for the speedrun strats. I call this my Mario 1 hallway, because it's Mario 1. Now this is a challenge. I regret saying anything. Record Keeper over here was originally a regular enemy concept, but he was just another stationary enemy where we had Subwoofer. And so we turned him into the mini-boss instead, much bigger. He incorporates the button gimmick well enough by changing his easy-to-access platforms. And his attack pattern is simple enough that, dude, it's a Mega Man mini-boss. It's not too complex. The generic use an item to get a health refill. No one believes in Magnet Beam. Ice Wall is the only real item in this game. This room is just good fun. Everything is playing at once. It's really not hard. I wouldn't call much of this level hard. It's harder than Haunt Man, that's for sure, but overall I'd say it's pretty simple, but you have to time it well. Mr. Bounty Boy at the bottom is changing the buttons constantly. Just have to think about what you're doing, or just take the damage if you truly don't care. It's not that much of a punishment, but it puts your self-esteem lower. And likewise, the rest of this level is mostly me thinking of cool ways to use the buttons for little challenges. This button is behind the health bar. This is what I call a flaw in the level design. But, oh, if you reverse it, you can now traverse in a way you maybe could not have before. How exciting. Another Subwoofer interaction. Should stay there and you'll never get hit. This is a contraption that lived rent-free in my brain. Just, oh, maybe you have to go one path and the other, but there needs to be consequences to every action you make. And goodbye, my child. Your sacrifice will not be forgotten. My beautiful friend. And, however, there is still a play button here that you have to activate for the next room, because, in theory, you could just skip that whole thing with Rush Jet and the such. There's a lot of idiot-proofing buttons. I don't want to call it idiot-proofing, sequence-breaking buttons, mostly because the Need for Speed fast-forward boy it doesn't really make sense if you enter his screens on pause, which also was just another limitation to his livelihood. I didn't expect to actually get up there, and now I'm thinking my life choice is over. No, he also just, if you get him off screen, you know, stop being fast, which is a necessary evil in our day-to-day lives. What else are you gonna do? This is a hard dodge. I love doing it every time. I fail it every time, but it is possible. It just times up really well for a little bit of an exciting challenge. And I can't believe I put instant death spikes in my level. What have I become? I am what I hate. My antithesis. Dear Lord. It's all over. Well, the only reason there's spikes in this room, originally it was just a bottomless pit, but I didn't want anybody thinking that you could jump in the hole, because it's not immediately obvious that the answer is reverse and up, unless there's literally no other way out of the room. Godspeed. And this was a fun little section. Just, you're on your little elevator ride. Oh, elevator broke. Unfortunate. Originally, there was actually, you just rode the elevator up, but it was kind of boring, so at least this little side path brings excitement to our day-to-day life. This is a useless commentary track, because all of my level design philosophies were said in MaGMML3. I just did the same thing again, but I won! It's a little more exciting. Because Hotman really had sections that were a little lull in between more interesting sections, while this gimmick I'm able to keep constant throughout the entire level in new and exciting ways. For example, this is just the throw everything at the wall kind of room. Your platform configuration is constantly shifting, the position of the subwoofer is constantly changing. It just sort of changes, it just makes this little fight more interesting than it would be otherwise. Of course, you could just kill the guy at the bottom with the special weapon, but where's the fun in that? That guy should have shot down first, but for some reason he didn't. And this is simply a remake of a challenge 2 rooms ago, but slightly harder, because now there's spikes on the ceiling. But of course, if you don't feel comfortable where you pause the platforms, a play button is right there for you to do whatever you need to do. And this is just stressful. I honestly usually cheese this with special weapons, because while this challenge is very possible, it is the only challenge I made in the level that stresses me out. But not today, Emperor's Zerg. And unfortunately, I do not follow my own rules, and I make a little bit crowded before the boss room, which is my antithesis. I don't like it when you just throw a million enemies before the boss door. It just feels sloppy. I guess it's not that bad, because by the time you loop around, there's not much left. But the level was basically at the perfect stage length, and I didn't want it to go any longer, so it ended right there. Cassette Man the boss is coming up. I didn't do the coding for it, obviously. I did make the boss theme yet again. And I will just use buster shots to fight him, to keep this going longer. He is definitely on the easy side. That will not be denied. He dies quickly. Mega Man bosses are a little bit hard to pace, especially when he stays in one spot and you could just nail him with charge shots, hypothetically. But it's a tricky thing to pace. Originally, we wanted to give him one more attack where he would rewind his previous pattern, and you have to like remember it. But pacing-wise, it just was too much. Because obviously this fight's taking a little while because I'm doing as little damage as humanly possible, but he just dies fast. A product of the charge shot? I don't know. Product of me almost glitching the boss in this older version? Maybe so. But that is that level. I feel like I haven't said anything useful this entire time. Level design. Introduce your things well. Make it a good stage length. Have fun. Come up with things you say, man, that's fun. That'd be a fun thing to do. And there you go. Cassette Man is dead, but I am not. The worst commentary of all time. Get me out of here.